So I think the point of going is following the example of Jesus. He came for us to a world that was broken. Through him, we have that hope that even in the midst of the world falling apart, we can cling to him. And there's people who don't have that peace, that joy, that comfort, that life.
I think God taught me how to be vulnerable, because at the beginning of the trip, I would never said, oh, yes, I would do this right now. At the beginning, I got there and I was standing at the back of the kids that were in VBS, not singing or dancing. But the last night we were there, I was doing karaoke, singing and dancing in front of half the ladies in the home and then all their children.
I have a huge passion for music. I love singing. I love worshiping. That's really how I feel connected with the Lord. And we went to their church every single night. At these services when we'd sing worship, it was kind of eye-opening to see the way that these people worshiped the Lord with all of their hearts and just with everything they had. There were people just dancing around the church. There were people shouting. There were people crying. And it made me realize that that's what worship is about. When I lead worship or when I sing, I want to do it with all I have.
Well, when we first pulled up there and I saw all those people standing in line, I was just like, we have to wait in that line. I was like, oh wait, we're serving all those people. I always thought people that were not in a home or not in a good situation at that time wouldn't be very thankful or grateful. But a lot of them were really thankful for what we were doing there. I've never really gotten to know anybody that was homeless. So I kind of felt good to get away from what I was doing and see what they were doing. I feel like I really got closer to God by doing his work. I would encourage others to do it because it's just a really fun experience and you'll never forget it in your lifetime.
This year was really cool to be able to actually bond and build relationships with these kids. One kid in particular, his name was Mason. One of the girls on my trip, Maddie, she brought him over here and said, hey, this kid's name's Mason too. And I'm like, oh, hey. By the second day, I was like, hey, Mason, we need a handshake. So we came up with this cool handshake. Every time I saw him, I'd give him the handshake, and that was kind of our thing. The last day before we left, that's when we kind of sat him down, just talked to him about his family and his relationship with Jesus. He's like, man, this Jesus guy seems pretty cool. I was like, well, you should let him into your heart, and he accepted Christ, and that was a really cool experience to be there with him while he did that.
The thing that God really taught me over this trip was that he's always there and he can always do something in the moment. You could just ask him something and you wouldn't get a direct answer in your head or anything. You wouldn't feel like that, but you knew he was there and you could see his plan coming together through it. So you could ask him for confidence in this moment when you're going up to people's houses and asking them to come to your VBS down the street, and he would do that and he'd give it to you. Just have that confidence and faith that God is always there. And that's something that I had before, but not as strong as I do now.
For me, that was the biggest takeaway of this trip isn't dependent on me. God's already at work. I get to be privileged to be a part of it.
The Lord is moving in so many different ways all around the world, and you can be of completely different backgrounds and still come together with just that common thing of we love Jesus and we want to live our lives for Jesus.